You may already know that Adolf Hitler kept his official residence at the Reich Chancellery in Berlin. However, the so-called Führer wasn't content with just one residence. Located out of sight, deep in the Masurian woods in what was then East Prussia, Hitler spent more than 800 days in the Wolf's Lair. This secret command post has served as Germany's military headquarters for the Eastern Front. From this fortified post, Hitler and his generals devised military strategies utilized for the invasion of Eastern Europe, as well as plans for the construction of his death camps. The Wolf Lair's location was selected for its many strategic advantages. First and foremost, it was a secure spot, hidden on almost all sides by forest, and protected on the east by the Great Masurian Lakes. These natural obstacles were then additionally fortified using resources such as anti-tank trenches, barbed wire fences, and landmines. With over 80 buildings and more than 30 bunkers spread out over 2.5 square miles of land, the Wolf's Lair required a large staff to keep the residence up and running. While the lair itself could accommodate around 2,000 people, including high-ranking Nazi officers, it also housed live-in employees to manage operations around the camp. At least 3,000 to 5,000 people were reportedly employed at the Wolf's Lair, although the true number may have even been higher. Among the staff were many young women who worked as taste testers, sampling Hitler's food before it was served to him to ensure it hadn't been poisoned. Nevertheless, these stringent security measures failed to prevent an assassination attempt from occurring inside the Wolf's Lair itself. On July 20th, 1944, the German staff officer Colonel Klaus von Stauffenberg put into place a plan to kill the dictator. Dubbed Operation Valkyrie, von Stauffenberg smuggled a bomb hidden inside his briefcase, which he intended to explode during a meeting held in one of the base's conference rooms. But the plan was foiled at the last minute when another officer pushed the briefcase containing the bomb to the edge of the conference room table. When it detonated at 12:42 p.m., the explosion was obscured by the heavy table, shielding Hitler from the worst of the blast. Although Hitler survived, 4 others died and many more were injured. After the plot was exposed, von Stauffenberg was executed by firing squad, along with almost 200 other Germans who were suspected of having been involved. Just a few months later, in November 1944, the Red Army's advance into East Prussia forced Hitler and his officers to abandon their command post at the Wolf's Lair. In January 1945, Hitler ordered the buildings at Wolf's Lair destroyed. Using thousands of tons of TNT, SS officers attempted to blow up the former command post. Despite all the damage, however, many of the sturdy bunkers remained standing. However, the landmines that had been spread throughout the grounds were left active and remained active until as late as the mid-1950s. After the end of the war, the Wolf's Lair was left to rack and ruin. With nobody to maintain the grounds, nature eventually began to overrun much of the base as time passed. However, it remained a site of much interest to the public, often drawing curious tourists and other visitors.
What really happened and what these places really looked like is something you can't get a sense of visually just from reading about it.
In 2017, the Polish Forestry Inspectorate took control of Wolf's Lair, turning it into an historic and controversial tourist site. While some believe that it is important for people to learn about the area's history, others fear that Hitler's former outpost may serve as a rallying point for neo-Nazis and other fascists. However, tour guides say very few neo-Nazis visit the site these days. One told the DW, "That's really just a few, not more than a few percent. Neo-Nazis don't really come here." Today, only a single bunker remains completely intact, which once housed Hitler's personal security detail. It now serves as a small restaurant and hotel. Hitler's own bunker, number 13, is still standing, although the exterior has suffered some damage and the interior has been completely destroyed. Suitably, the site also includes a memorial to Colonel Klaus von Stauffenberg and Operation Valkyrie. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more grunge videos about world history are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.